Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 521, recorded live on Sunday, June 10th. I'm your host, Patrick. With me this week, we have returning to the show, Strimtom. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me back, man.
Yeah, it's been a while. We've tried to get you on a few times in the interim, but schedules and all.
Yeah. As the summer creeps up, you just find yourself busy, right?
Yes. Well, it's spring. Summer is actually less busy in my world, but yeah, there you go. In any case, we're back live for the news this week. I opted to actually do the news not live the last couple of weeks because I think I recorded like maybe 20 minutes worth of news over 2 weeks. It just hasn't been any news, but we've got news this week. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Before we get there. Our screenshot of the week. A silhouette can be seen near the Emperor in the 369th DDO screenshot of the week. Thanks, Yvul, for sending this week's screenshot. Very nice little shot there. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can watch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOcast.com. DDOcast is hosted by Cyberears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next Sunday. And you can stay updated by following us on social media pages. I'm at DDOCast on Twitter. Or you can check out our website, DDOcast.com. We have a calendar, which I usually keep nice and up to date, and when we're going to have shows and has store sales and stuff like that. On the podcast this week, we have part 2 of our leveling 30 plus. So we're talking about quest levels higher than level 30 or 30 and above. It was so big, we decided to cut it into 2 segments, and then we went so long, we had to cut it into 3 segments while we were recording it. Go figure. There's actually a lot of quests up at that level, which is complete departure from like 20 to 30, 20 to 29, which we'll talk about a little bit in a few minutes. But before we get there, hey, let's talk about game news.
Game news? What? Are you serious? There's game news this week?
Right?
New stuff. People talking about things. It's exciting.
Oh, man. Yeah, right? We've got game news. That's exciting in and of itself. So we get to talk about game news. And the fun thing here is it's not just like one little snippet of game news. There's actually several things we can talk about. So where do we start? We're going to start with it. This was a comment by Korthos, and I think this may have been said. I thought they said this before, but perhaps not. But I certainly assumed it was correct. But in any case, Reaper difficulty. When you die, there's a anti-res timer, and typically, when you snap back to your stone because you got too far, your death timer or your anti-res timer resets. It doesn't always work correctly. I think I even saw someone in the forum thread basically say that it has to do with, does the quest come from, like, where did you enter the quest from? Is it from a public area or from a private area? And that has something to do with it. Which I think actually had some stuff, something to do with some other things too. I think clearing the blitzing stack was kind of related to that as well. In any case, this is intended. It is intended that if you snap back to your soulstone, your death timer resets. I don't know if they said this part of it, but they said it was done to prevent an exploit where people were bypassing the effect by having their soulstone distance timer reset. Deathworm, I'm looking at you.
Yep. Example number 1.
Yeah. If you don't want this to happen, you should not be running further away from your soulstone than you can get back to within the time limit. So it's working as intended. They have no intention of changing it. The response to this was several people. I'm not gonna say like everyone, but there were several comments like, "Have you ever played Reaper? People put their stone in their backpack and then snap me around the room." I don't see a problem with that personally. I think that goes back to strategy. So I understand it's frustrating for you, the player, but teamwork, maybe.
Yeah, I think having the soulstone require you, like, you don't want to bounce away from it. Just requires that teamwork. Don't go running off by yourself, so you can't, have to worry about snapping. And also, make sure you're actually staring at your screen is getting dragged around. Be active, because what if the timer comes off and you can get raised and you're standing right behind, a magic user or something that you could kill, but you're not because you're standing somewhere far away, and then you get rebounded back to your stone.
Or have your party members stop running away from your ghost. I mean, I get it from a player standpoint. There's a bit of a frustration, right? Like, I want to raise, and you keep pulling me away. Well, maybe they're running away from things that are trying to kill them. I don't think it's a problem, personally. I think that it goes into the strategy and tactics of Reaper. I think it's very similar to saying, hey, there's this really stupid thing that makes it so I can't heal myself in Reaper mode. It's kind of the design philosophy.
Yeah. It's just a slight departure from what's previously been done, and it changes the gameplay, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree. In any case, there's that. Korthos also made a comment regarding forum moderation. Well, they were talking about forum moderation, and he kind of said some things along the lines of he's open to having conversations about it and trying to make it better, and that kind of a thing. They're not trying to make it really bad or anything like that. He's not trying to make a negative experience or anything. And then he came. So someone mentioned in the chat or in the forum thread, Reddit like up-down voting. That is something that he has looked into and he continues to look into. If or when they ever update the forums, he might well enable that if it's available. Which kind of caught some people in this, like, hey, we had this thing called forum reputation once, and we all kind of decided it was a really lousy idea. And Korthos said, yeah, I agree that was awful. It was one of the first things he got rid of when he rose enough in a position to be able to do it. His thinking on a Reddit-style up-down vote would be that it would be an optional way to view the forums. So you could view by post date, perhaps number of replies, or by voting, with the most positive listed first. This would be in a selected forum of the forums. To be clear, it's not something he's promising, but it's rather something he'd like to explore if and when they overhaul the forums. So, kind of some fun ideas there. I'm not much of a forum lurker, so I don't really have a strong opinion on it.
I sometimes will scan over the forums. I would say probably once a month, but I find the forums are so overtly negative about every aspect of DDO. It's very hard to take any bit of it seriously. Which is not to say that there aren't smart people posting smart and good things on the forums. I mean, I post my guides on the forums, so I got to say that. But I don't know. I think it could probably potentially help some people be a little bit more focused and organized if it's easier to sift through the negative comments and find the positive things.
Sure. Yeah, I tend to find that if I read a thread, if the thread goes any more than like 3 pages, I stop reading unless a dev chimes in. Because at that point, the conversation usually devolves into people accusing other people of things that are dubious at best, and then counter. It just tends to devolve pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just off topic, too.
Yeah, and it's not to say that it doesn't happen positively. And in fact, this particular thread, I read a little bit and actually found some of the debate to be kind of interesting from a rules lawyery perspective, which I kind of enjoy doing. But yeah, it wasn't exactly. It devolved pretty quickly from that interesting topic as well. So in any case, there you go. Next on the list, we have a new dev, Fance, who is from Lotro, coming over from the Lotro side of things. So there was some talk about kind of some content that is not really great performance-wise. Specifically Black Lock. Anyways, Fans came in and said, depending on the difficulty of the fix and the time it would take to implement, we have been going through some of the older content and bringing it up to speed. At the very least, we have been focusing on making sure everything is at least playable on players' computers. This past update, Update 38, saw some visual and performance updates to Spies in the House. I totally didn't notice.
You didn't?
No.
It's really noticeable when you walk in. Like, you should see it immediately. It's really bright and lit up, and there's different lanterns and stuff everywhere, and the water looks a lot better. Like, it's very, very noticeable right away. However, if you don't have post-processing on, you won't see it.
Maybe that's why. I don't know. I did not see anything. Like, this is news to me. I didn't know that it changed. in any case, they also did. So the new update, Update 39, will contain a complete graphical overhaul of Black Lock with both increased performance and visual fidelity. Yay!
Oh yeah.
I think
You
we're
don't like
talking
getting
the boat.
actually 6 FPS when you look at that water?
Yeah,
Oh, it's beautiful.
that's probably what we're talking about, I assume. They have also been taking a look at several other big offenders. Yester Hill. that would be the one with all the lightning rings. Thunderholm, raids in general. But the extent of these changes to these spaces and timeframes haven't been solidified. In other words, they're working on it, which is great.
It's exciting. The guys from the Lotro team, every time I look over at like the forums or anything else or some of the new things they're doing, I'm like, man, this stuff is so cool. I want these things in DDO. These guys work for the same company. Can't they do it here? And finding out that they're slowly sneaking over, I'm like, yes, we'll get our 64-bit client and all these other things. I'm so excited.
It'd be nice, right? Pick some of these long-standing. Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to be able to play the game without having to worry about lagging out and stuff like that, right? No one likes that. All right. Linabelle let slip to us. She didn't let slip. She just told us that Update 39 will contain a classic pack gear revamp. And then she came back and said that would be Fjarland Carnival, the heroic items. The numbers will be up when Lemania notes are posted. She does not have an ETA on those. Don't ask her. As with all old loot revamps, you'll need to reacquire these items to get the updated versions. So hey, do Fjarland Carnival stuff. That's great.
I mean, I still hate those quests because they require you to have a rogue, and I never play rogue, so I'm like, I'll just ignore them. But at the end of the day, updating old loot's cool because it means people want to play those old quests. They're cool and they give great experience, so I think it's a great idea.
You only really need a rogue in Big Top.
Yeah, but that's always the one where I stop. And then if you don't do Big Top, you can't get the top hat, and I want the top hat. Also, I have Vendetta because I've never had the top hat drop for me. So.
Go run on an epic casual or something, and there's like 3 chests, any one of which will drop a top hat. You get 6 people, I guarantee you'll get a top hat.
That's true.
So, the top hat is kind of fun, though. Let's see, Knockback wrote in, we kind of hinted at this earlier. So there were some, Korthos on his Weekly Wednesday oftentimes answers questions, and talked a little bit, he had talked a little bit about Update 39. So Knockback came in and kind of clean up some of the rumors and the information that was flying around. So to help clear things up, this is what he said. Update 39 will have 5 different quests. One of those quests will be White Plume Mountain. White Plume Mountain will be a cap level quest, challenge rating 9 heroic, 32 legendary. So yes, our version of Black Razor will be a cap level item. The other 4 quests will be a variety of levels. The current plans, subject to change as always, are 2 at 6 and levels 20 as level 6 and 21, 1 at level 6 and 23, and 1 at level 6 and 25. They've never done a pack like this before in the free-to-play era, and we understand that the setup is a little unusual, but they hope that people who have been waiting patiently for some different to play at level 6 or new loot in the low epics will appreciate it. Sounds good to me.
Absolutely. Level 6 quests are one of the few dry zones in the game. So I'm really excited for like cool and exciting low level quests. Hopefully the monsters won't have 3,000 health. But we'll see.
Depends on how many skulls you're running on, I suppose. I think that I was interested in, because I am not familiar with White Plume Mountain. But it's like White Plume Mountain is just one of the quests. Are the other 4 quests related to White Plume Mountain? Are they like pre-quest? Like, what's the relationship there? That was kind of where I was interested in learning. But I guess we'll have to find out later. We did get a note as well from the devs that Update 39 Systems Preview is tentatively scheduled to be open from Tuesday, June 19th through Thursday, June 21st, highly subject to change based on both feature readiness and build stability. Note it's the Systems Preview, so this is not quests, just kind of the system-y stuff.
Yeah, like the Favored Soul and other small patches and things.
Probably the Fjarland loot, among other things.
Ooh, maybe.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, so let's talk about this Favored Soul thing. We got a first look at the Beacon of Hope Favored Soul Enhancement Tree. This will be the 3rd one for them. Steel Star came in with this. It's a look at the 3rd Favored Soul tree coming soon, Beacon of Hope. It's a healing and buffing focused tree that is currently slated for Update 39 and ought to be on Lemania soon. he also has an FAQ, which we'll kind of read through as well. So we'll take this in bunches. We'll start with the cores. So the core 1 is for each core ability you gain plus 1% positive spell critical chance and plus 10 healing amp and plus 5 positive spell power. Core 2, it's Beacon of Grace, which costs 2 spell points, an activated ability. Although he's got, I'm not sure, his pictures are a little off, I think. In any case, Beacon of Grace, you and allies ahead of you heal for 1 point of positive energy per favored soul level. This scales with your positive spell power. It has a 6-second cooldown. Shining Light, whenever you cast one of your beacons or use Flight of Glory, you and affected allies gain a sacred bonus to healing amplification equal to your favored soul level for 12 seconds. Enemies in the zone of the effect are dazed or dazzled and take a -1 penalty to attack, spot, and search. These enemies are illuminated by Shining Light, dispelling stealth, invisibility, blur, and displacement for 10 seconds and giving a -4 penalty to hide. Sightless enemies are immune to the dazzle effect, as you would expect. Beacon of Hope, costs 15 spell points. You and allies ahead of you take the effects of a Panacea and Restoration spell and heal for 5 points of positive energy per favored soul level. This scales with 100% positive spell power. It has a 30-second cooldown. It's a little bit longer, but there. Core 5 is Flight of Glory. When you use your Leap of Faith, nearby allies gain temporary hit points equal to twice your character level, plus an additional 25. And then the Core 6 is a True Resurrection spell-like ability for 25 spell points. And then you can choose either +4 Wisdom or +4 Charisma, and then you also get +3 maximum caster level with all positive spells. Your Hope and Beacon abilities that scale favorite soul level now at epic levels as well. So there's the cores.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about
and
the
they're
cores.
very cool. They're very cool. I like some of the interesting things is like the beacons. The way that they kind of lay out is that if you think about like healers, the reason why clerics are so good is because they don't have to use their mana to cast spells all the time. They can use their turns. They can use all this other stuff, and they get tons of free AOE healing from that. Like Burst of Positive Energy is crazy good. But then now there's this Beacon of Grace and Beacon of Hope thing, which are targeted. So it's not free. You don't just get to press a button and heal your whole raid. You have to like point at them and pay attention. But the healing costs almost nothing, and it's a lot. Like 1 point per favorite soul level doesn't sound like a lot. But then when you're at level 30, that's 30 points. That then scales with all of your healing amp. And if you have a lot of spell power, you're pumping out, a solid, 400, 500 point heal that also raises everybody's healing amp by 30. So it's actually even higher than that. Or Beacon of Hope, which is 150 base, which with all of your spell power and stuff at a max level character, you're looking at like almost 2,000 points of healing. And both these spells are designed because they have to be in like an AoE. It's supposed to be like a cone in front of you. They're almost they're designed to be almost instantaneous on their cast time. Because if people are moving and you have to cast with the direction, that makes it really hard to heal people because players are hard to track. So this is super neat. It looks good.
It looks good. It sounds like a fun mechanic and a little bit more active, but it does come with some nice benefits as well. In the FAQ, one of the things that he said is, what do you mean by ahead of you? Think of it like a cone, but fairly long and static width, a bit wider than the player character. You'll be trying to get your allies in a line, similar to how you line up enemies for improved precise shot. We're going to work on having visual feedback that makes it pretty clear how long and wide the effective space is. For the record, it's similar in size to Cone of Cold.
Yeah, I had mentioned more than once that it's cool to have an effect like this, but if you have if when you cast a spell, there's a drawn line that you can see the edges of your cone, that really helps you get to know what you're doing.
Sure.
So hopefully something like that will come out.
It'd be nice. But it's definitely an interesting kind of idea of how to utilize some of that stuff. So, and the bonus to healing amplification equal to your favorite soul. So I mean, you're getting another 20 to 30, right? If you're getting to add epic levels, and the capstone is pretty significant there. I mean, adding 10. You're adding another half of what you would have had. You've already gained, so that's it's scaling it up by 50% for a if you're using those abilities. So that's pretty significant for Capstone. So, in any case, some fun stuff there. All right, let's look at Tier 1. You get a Good Hope SLA, which is kind of an interesting choice. Although, I mean, Good Hope at level 1?
Yeah, level 1.
That's a little crazy, because Bards get it at what, like level 9?
They get it at 7.
7? So
Yeah.
that's, I don't know. That, I think they should, it seems like they should switch Good Hope and Close Wounds, maybe, to me, but.
Well, the real question is Good Hope too good? I mean, you can buy level 1 heroism pots, and it's the same thing.
I guess that's true. It's a fair point. But the fact that they're getting an SLA for a level 6 or level 7 Bard spell at level 1? A little weird. Anyways, the other things you can get Confidence, which is up to +3 Concentration, Diplomacy, and Heal. Rank 3 also gives you 10 spell power, positive spell power. Divine Durability is 2/4/6 Confidence bonus to PRR. You get a +2% spell critical chance, and you can get 30, 60, or 90 spell points with spell point 1. Tier 2, you get an SLA of Close Wounds for 6/4 or 2 spell points with a 3, 2, 1 second cooldown. Close Wounds is pretty light on the actual how much healing it gives you, right? It's not not a big one.
It's very small.
But it's very fast, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the fastest heal spell in the game. It's basically instantaneous. Like you just touch it and the heal goes out.
Right.
So I don't know how useful this would be, because even if you maximize empower healing, embolden, all those spell things, it's still probably not going to heal for a lot, but it's basically free. It'll probably heal for like 400 if you're super spec'd into it, which is a lot.
Keep someone alive enough to get the next heal in.
Yeah, and most importantly, if you happen to play a Asheras caster, the 10 sorcerer, 4 wizard, 6 favorite soul kind, you can easily get this Close Wounds spell like ability for keeping your Empyrean magic up at level 30.
There you go.
So instead of it costing you a little mana, it now costs you 0.
Sure.
So.
You also get Hope for Inspiration. Target ally gains sacred bonus to all skills equal to 1/4 your favorite soul level for 12 seconds. There's no spell point cost with that, so there you go. Let's see. Divine Durability gives you 2/4/6 MRR. Another 2% positive spell critical. Then Might's Reward, which shares a cooldown and same SP cost as Divine Might, which I think it's the same thing. But you get a sacred bonus to positive spell power equal to your Strength, Wisdom, or Charisma modifier for 30, 60, or 120 seconds.
Huh? I was just saying, I don't know how I feel about that ability.
It's actually
it seems
positive spell power,
yeah.
Which at certain points in the game or for certain builds is a big deal. For other builds, it's not so much. So, I like that it's got you can choose which skill you're going or which attribute you're going. Given how flexible favorite souls tend to be, that's kind of nice. Tier 3, Hope for Protection, which is a target ally gains sacred bonus to PRR and MRR equal to your favorite soul level for 12 seconds. It's kind of neat, but that just feels like you're going to be clicking it so much if you want to use it.
It's the theme of the stream, man.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd rather it like that rolled into one of the beacons that you're already casting. Too many clicks for me, personally, but... so you get Efficient Empower Healing, another 2% spell critical chance for positive spells, and Wisdom or Charisma are your stats. Tier 4, you get a Death Ward SLA. So you can, with the third tier, you can cast Death Ward for 5 spell points. Although, I'm kind of wondering if you get into at what point does your party size get to the point where you may as well still just cast Mass Death Ward and save spell points?
Well, Mass Death Ward is 40, so if you're playing in a party, this is always going to be cheaper. But if you're playing in a raid, then Mass Death Ward is cheaper.
Hope for Victory. Target ally gains a sacred bonus to melee power and range power equal to half your favorite soul level, and universal spell power equal to your favorite soul level. Lasts for 12 seconds, 6-second cooldown. Again, same kind of thoughts about that. Like the buffing, I don't really want to like buff. See, Optimism. Every time you cast one of your hope abilities. See, here you go. It's a hope ability. So you're just using stuff you're already clicking. You gain a stack of Rising Beacon, giving yourself +2 PRR, +2 MRR, and +1 AC. That stacks up to 10 times and fades once every 12 seconds. Hope for Success grants 3 stacks. See, now, if they did that kind of thing with Hope for Victory and Hope for Protection, that would be more interesting to me.
What do you mean?
Well, so the Optimism is working off of something you're already doing, as opposed to adding 2 more clicks to keep these buffs up.
Yeah, but the Optimism works off of those 2 more clicks that you have.
I guess that's true.
Like the idea
Why
is
can't
that
they
as
do
long
that
as
with
you're
all of them
actively...
with the beacons? That's what I don't know.
But then your beacons are only targeted. So like, what if you want to cast Hope for Victory on your ranger who's like 40 feet away and he's about to go Fury Shot, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get him with this thing. Now you gotta not heal him, and then now your tank dies. And you're like, no, guys,
I already
cool.
gotta not heal him to cast the thing on somebody, anyways. So
yeah, but you don't gotta turn away.
It's too clicky for me. That's what I'm saying.
I hear you.
Let's see. Raise Dead SLA at tier 5. Hope for Success. Target ally gains a +1 critical threat range and multiplier with weapons for 12 seconds. See, now this sounds cool, but what's the bonus? Is it going to stack? I guess it'll probably stack.
It'll probably stack with everything.
They said that. So that's kind of neat. That would be something nice. Like, hey, if you've got this guy in your party, you know, you're going to charge up a Fury Shot, that'll be the time to use it, I suppose. So you get a heal SLA for 40 spell points, which doesn't sound like much, but keep in mind it doesn't go up for meta magics. Although heal has a very limited meta magics that you can put on it, so
it's pretty much just quicken and power heal.
Yeah. Undying Beacon. Allies affected by your beacons gain an unconscious range equal to 10 times your favorite soul level. That effect lasts for 12 seconds. Is refreshed to the target is affected by another beacon spell. See, here you go. That one's... This is what I'm talking about. It goes off of your beacon. And then Wall of Healing, which is 30 spell points. It's essentially a Wall of Fire, but healing. They cure moderate wounds every few seconds instead of burning, which is interesting. I kind of like it. It's kind of a fun idea.
Yeah, I like it because it's got a 60-second cooldown, so you can't just throw it out all the time. You got to think about where you put it. But then it has that really like impactful effect when you put it down. Cure Moderate Wounds doesn't sound like a lot, but even if it's something like healing for like 250 every 2 seconds, that's awesome. Oh yeah.
Put it right on your tank.
And everyone can see it. They're not confused about where it is. It's the big wall of fire. I'm assuming it's going to look like a wall of fire, but like another color.
Probably.
Cool. Golden or purple or something.
Yeah, something. All right, so FAQ. Why healing themed tree? Favorite souls 2 existing trees focused on offensive casting and weapon attacks. This tree gives them good defensive utility and helps round them out with healing skills. Why the secondary focus on buffing? Short answer, they wanted to give this tree options to function in a purely support role if people wanted to go that route, and to have a playstyle available that made it stand out from other existing trees. The longer answer, the feedback loop for Renegade Master Mega taught us that, at least for a wide variety of players, a tree entirely focused on healing and defense ends up feeling passive and kind of lackluster. They wanted something for people invested in this tree to do between healing. For some, that might be using weapons or offensive casting, but we wanted something for this tree to do on a secondary level that was useful in its own right at the top end of their scaling. The buffs are pretty dang strong. Sure. I mean, definitely the one that's going to give you critical, +1 at critical is pretty strong. So we talked about that. Ahead of you, are you fixing War Soul with this pass? Angel of Vengeance, any of the cleric trees? They've got an Angel of Vengeance pass nearly done, and they have plans to try and get War Priest and War Soul passes in for either Update 39 or shortly after. Details soon. Yay! More news! More news is fun. Do these work with meta magics? The Hope buffs work with Enlarge and Quicken. Interesting that Enlarge is an option for that. That's kind of neat. The beacons are Empower, Healing, and Quicken, while Healing is Enlarge, Empower, Healing, and Quicken. So there you go. Hope of Protection doesn't stack with Paladins. That is correct, because they're both Sacred bonuses. However, a pure Favored Soul at cap would edge out a Sacred Defender's Paladins PRR and MRR bonuses just a little bit. Can you cast the Hope buffs on yourself? No. But your friends can cast them on you if you have more than one. what do these things stack with? Assuming any bonus, we didn't add an explicit type to Sacred Competence or whatever. Yes, it includes hope for success, so that might change before release. Not sure. That's the one with the critical multiplier. So
Okay, I really hope it stacks with everything. Because if it doesn't, you don't even take it. Because everyone anyone you would want to put it on already has both of those bonuses.
Yeah. Even if they just change it so it was only one, right? Even if it was only +1 to critical threat range, or +1 to multiplier, or +1 to multiplier on 19 or 20 or something like that, right? Like, there's ways I think to change it, but it definitely needs to stack, right? Because, like you said, if you're using weapons and you want this buff, you're already going to have a competence bonus. So,
oh yeah,
I would hope. If not, with all due respect, maybe go back to the drawing board. All right. This looks neat, but I wouldn't take this over Angel of Vengeance on my Spell Nuker or War Soul on my melee. The answer is, nor should you. Existing builds were built with existing trees in mind. We hope you find some things here worth taking on some of those builds, and that new builds would eventually be built around this tree, but it absolutely makes sense that existing characters using archetypes of the other two trees keep using those trees as their primary. This is a different sort of role than those trees embody. There's definitely some interesting, if you wanted to go down a really heavy buff kind of route, you could probably do an interesting Favorite Soul Bard Splash.
Yeah, and kind of roll in both those things together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the buffs at least are, there's some interesting things that you could do with those too. For those that are running Reapers and doing a lot of charming, or say you're running Hounded Zoriat, you could use some of that stuff on your charms too.
Oh, buffing the dogs with the hopes.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, that sounds
option.
amazing. Even critical multiplier and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple, I mean, like the hopes buffs are so interesting to me. Like, I agree with you, it is a lot of buttons to press, because now, there's 4 hopes and then 2 beacons. So that does give you 6 extra buttons to push. But
although, can we agree that you're probably not going to be adding skills to people very often?
Okay, you're probably not going to be adding skills to people very often. But you know what? That one time where you're in a quest and you don't have any raise scrolls because you were too lazy to buy them because you obviously have mana, and then the barbarian has raise scrolls but his UMD is too low, that's where it comes to shine. But I don't know. I think
Go
that
down
a lot
of
of
there.
But I think that overall, a lot of the hope buffs, it gives you more buttons. It gives you a much more active role. I kind of think of it as sort of like the skill floor for the favorite soul is going to be a lot higher than cleric, in that it just takes more practice to get used to, but then you get that reward. So for the really long-term invested player, is going to potentially gravitate more towards favorite soul because it takes more time and experience to get used to. And at the same time, favorite souls are tanky. Oh my god, just read through all this stuff. You get like 70 healing amp, like a bunch of PRR. When you're casting your hopes, you're pulling out 20 extra PRR and MRR. You're not going to take any damage from anything. And if you do, you just heal it back up to full. Like, this seems very, very cool for somebody who just, they want to be the best healer in the game. I feel like this is something that's going to allow people to really master their role, something like that.
If you want to do healing buff, yeah, it's a lot of fun things here. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that I find really interesting. I know from my own playstyle that if you throw too many clicks, I start to not utilize the class very well. Case in point, monks. Like, if I need more than a hot bar, like one hot bar, to really focus on utilizing my character, like the primary attacks and stuff, it tends to break down for me. So,
whereas I, on the other hand, have 40 keybinds, so I can use a lot of buttons. Different playstyles, though,
I mean, I'm sure I could do that too, but yeah. I also, when I'm playing, I'm trying to relax a little bit too. So having to remember which of the 40 keybinds goes to what on 10 different characters, I think would drive me a little insane.
That's just it. It's not so bad when you play 1 or 2 characters, but when you have 3 or 4 or 5, there's no point.
Don't you have 30 characters?
Yeah, but I've I've been doing this for too long, man. I'll be like playing this, and then I'll just swap to another game, and I'll be like, okay, hold on 1 second, and just like rewire my brain real quick, and then just start
Yeah.
playing World of Warcraft with the different 40 set of keybinds.
Anyways, there's a favorite soul tree. A lot of stuff. I think it's a good start. There's nothing, unlike Renegade Mastermaker. There's nothing in here that screams game breaking or anything like that, or this needs to change.
There was something game breaking in Renegade Mastermaker.
Well, the one that they removed. Quote,
What was
game
that?
breaking. The hit point thing.
Oh yeah, the shield thing. Oh yeah,
the temporary hit point or whatever.
Yeah, that was madness.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like I liked the idea. I think they just should have tweaked the number instead of getting rid of it personally. But
Yeah.
the only thing in here that looks like something that they might do that with was hope for success, which they already kind of mentioned. And again, like was said, it's if it doesn't stack, then what's the point in taking it?
See, I'm okay with putting overpowered abilities in healer trees because nobody plays healers anyway. And you need an incentive. So if you make somebody feel like they're God on Earth just to play one, sounds good. As long as they're playing one, come
Sure.
join my Strahd raid.
Yeah, stuff in there. Even if they tweak it a little bit, so like we said, like the multiplier only works on like 19 to 20 or something like that. I think it's still beneficial, right? So, anyways.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. The legendary Sinister Hand Axe currently binds to character. It's been fixed internally. New hand axes will be bound to account in upcoming patch. So, yay for that. Our bonus days for the weekend through today, June 10th. You get double Commendations of Valor and a +5 VIP XP boost. Store sales. Ravenloft expansion is on sale again. You get 20% off of the Ultimate and Collector editions in the DDO market now through June 10th. So good opportunity to get those as well.
Mm-hmm. Time to stock up.
Yeah. The sales for the week, so through June 14th, you can advance your alts 20% off of select low-level adventures, +2 ability tomes, character slots, and you can get 5 lasting heroes and potions with the coupon code HERO. Woohoo.
Or just buy that new favorite soul and get lasting great or good hope.
There you go.
Spells. That's what I'm talking about.
That's certainly an option. All right, community news. The 286th Chronicle. The Chronicle was off last week. Part of the reason why there was only 6 minutes of news last week, there wasn't even a Chronicle. But it's back this week. The latest Munchkin Summer Games is officially underway. You can check that out. The Amber Temple project has been completed. That's quite an undertaking. I think what they were trying to do was figure out where the passwords can all be, where all the teleporters are. They're mapping Amber Temple.
Oh yeah.
Which, how many iterations are there? Several?
Yeah, there's I think 8 cards or something, or 9 cards. It's a lot. It was surprising how much or how many different
looks like
options
there's
there
only they had only 8 card trader or cards, but I think some of the other stuff can kind of be around as well. So, yeah, there's a fair number of things that can move around. So, well done on that. The guild for the week, Claw. It's an acronym here. Is a medium-sized level 195 guild on Thalanus that is looking for new guildies over the age of 18. The guild has their own website. You can submit an application and more for that. The comment for the week. Which polyhedral die do you feel most represents you? I'd say a D6 because I'm pretty straightforward.
Oh man, that's tough. I'm gonna go with the D8 because I've always liked longsword as a weapon.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to say D8 right away. That just feels right.
Let's see. DDOCast talks about level 30 and beyond in episode 520. Yay, we got a shout out for last week. The DDO Players News has the latest from Tabletop and more. That is actually probably their show from 2 weeks. They didn't have a show this week, so it's probably the one from 2 weeks ago when there wasn't a Chronicle. Full Moon Fury checks out Nox Scrolls. That was kind of a fun little read. Basically, figuring out where the make or break point is and where you can use Nox scrolls and where they start to lose their effectiveness. Inkwell Society has wrapped up their latest season in Sharn. Ginger Spice is running Reapers on video. Hephaestus has a DDO date night. Sip went back to Korthos instead of running Ravenloft for some reason. He was running with some friends. That's what was going on there. Streaming with Even ran Heroic Shroud, 2-man. Bachelor Gore has a father and son run on Fridays on Ice. A Very Bad Guild found the House of Broken Chains. Deep Reap has an epic live stream. Shoemaker talked the DDO Wiki in episode 106. I'm amazed. I'm not a wiki person. I've never, I'll read it, but I don't have any experience like editing or anything. 106 episodes about one wiki is impressive to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just dedication to the craft, man.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, I could probably do that many episodes about things that I'm into, but 106 episodes of the wiki is a little bit mind-boggling to me.
Oh, that's oh man. I've done a couple edits, and I read it. Probably it's my homepage, so I read it all the time. It's like you watch me on a stream for like 5 minutes, and I have to go on DDO Wiki to check something. Like it's a best resource in the world. It's
a
one of the
great
best
resource.
wikis I've ever seen.
They do a great job.
Oh yeah.
See, Doug Glendower ran on Kyber for Bard Life. Brighter Days Ahead is back from the Caribbean, and Tone Station has epic adventures to get inside the magic circle. A lot of community stuff going on still, so pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I was going to say quick observation that we see more and more community stuff going on like every day or like every week, and I think it's cool. There's more streamers now. There's more people making videos. It's coming back,
which is a little bit mind-boggling considering this game is 11, 12 years old. So
yeah, we're coming back.
Let's see. Cordovan ran on Argo this week and had some Q&A on the weekly lunchtime live stream. There's also an event going on. It started on Thursday, June 7th. The second annual 2018 DDO Fashion Competition hosted by Ailonwi. So you can show off your snazziest, most awesome, most fashionable DDO characters and come strut your stuff in screenshots. So the deadline is Friday, July 6th. Categories you can submit are male humanoid, female humanoid, blade forge or warforge, and dragonborn. Humanoid being any race not specifically mentioned. The winner of each main category will receive a code for 500 points. You can only win once, generously provided by Sandy Stone Games. This year there will also be a worst dress category. The race doesn't matter, and the winner will receive a Mirror of Glamoring.
It's oh man, that's just like that's like okay, you were the worst, like the fashion show, and whoever's the worst gets like a gift certificate to like Old Navy or something. Like go buy yourself some better clothes, please.
Yep. Submissions will be judged on 5 criteria: color cohesiveness, accessorizing. Do your weapons, shield, goggles, and everything, does it all improve your look and theme? Background appeal. So mind the background. Your pose, because all models posed. And adherence to a theme. So you have to kind of submit the theme as well. I looked at some of these last year, and I mean, especially the winners were just fantastic.
Oh yeah,
pictures. So very well done. I'm really looking forward to seeing what we get this year. So
and that's it. After I read that, I've been putting it together an outfit. I really think I'm probably gonna win worst dressed. I've really been thinking about it though. But
really going for that mirror glamoring, are you?
You gotta get it, man. It's a mirror glamoring.
They're not that expensive. There's easier ways to get one. Just saying. All right, we're gonna close out the show. Thanks, Strimtom, for joining me. You want to plug your stream and stuff?
Yeah, actually. So for those of you that do follow me, you'd know that I stream every single Tuesday from 7 to 10, and as well as other different random times during the week. Well, that's all about to change because I have to change my schedule. So my stream is going to be moving from Tuesday back to Monday, starting with the 25th. And next week, my show that would normally be on the 19th, unfortunately, is going to be off because I will be away. I'll be out of town. So, but yeah, streams moving to Monday. So but I've got to appreciate everyone that tunes in every week. Those guys are the best.
Did you say what time zone you're going to be? Or
Eastern Daylight Time.
Okay.
Is my stream time.
That's good that you're moving to Mondays because I think that means I can have my old slot back for DDOCast Splat.
Hey, you can have your slot, man. That sounds all good. I share the love, share the wealth. Everyone needs to be able to do their thing.
No, I think when you moved, we took a like a extended hiatus, and then you moved into my slot. I was like, all right, well, I'll just stream it on DDOCast. Which, by the way, DDOCast Splat is on a 2-week hiatus. We will be off this week. We should be back next week. Playoffs and all, so we'll be busy. So thanks for everyone for listening to the show. Thanks to Strimtom for joining me. Thanks to all the contributors for DDOCast and Sending Some Games, Wizards of the Coast, for making DDO possible, and to Cyberish for hosting the podcast. You can support the show by visiting our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. If you have a DDO-themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email me at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also hit us up at ddocast.com for show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff. If you'd like to be part of the show, if you have a comment on this episode, a question you'd like to hear us answer, or a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, you can leave a comment, or you can email us at ddocast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media or follow us for the latest cast updates. Again, I am at DDOCast on Twitter. Our closing tip for the week comes from FuzzyDuck81 on the Lennis. It says, to talk to the red dragon in the Stormhorns while wearing red dragon scale armor. I haven't actually ever done that. I should do that someday.
Farming out that armor is really hard. I haven't done that either.
The red armor?
Yeah.
I have the red armor. I just haven't talked to the red dragon.
It's so much work.
You gotta find the red dragon too. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, you gotta. Well, you gotta reset the instance until you find them.
Yeah.
And then you gotta run a lot of Von 5. Oh man.
In any case, stay tuned for part 2 of our leveling 30 plus topic. But first, we have a segment from Grand Darn.
Greetings from Korthos. This is episode 6, and we will be talking a bit about recruiting new players in-game. Let's start out with some recent occurrences. It was great to hear the familiar voices of Band VP and Warcane on the DDOcast, 2 active members of the Orion server getting involved with the podcast. Good on ya. I had a chance to run with both of them over the last while. I ran with Warcane the other weekend, where Warcane headed up a Von 5 and 6 raid. We wanted to run it on R1 or R2, but since it is a level 22 raid and we had level 30 players in the group, including myself, we could only run it on Epic Elite. That raid has to be run on Reaper to be fun in Epics. The run went very smoothly, thanks in part to Warcane's veteran hand in managing the essential items. At times, members were losing their cool, typing in chat, all caps, "Who has the coffer?" No need to fret. Warcane's got it covered. It's always rough running a mismanaged or somehow disrupted Von raid. You hit a point where no one knows where the key is, like when you're getting on the train or subway and you can't find your ticket, so you're going through all your pockets, your wallet and your bag, except there are 11 other people doing the exact same thing. Who's got the darn key? That was not an issue for the run. Besides that, we also ran Defiler of the Just. That was great. I haven't run a DOJ in, it's got to be a half year or more. I love that raid. But with the server move last year, DOJ just became unrunnable at EE with a full group. After a few attempts ended unsuccessfully due to lag freeze, people just stopped running it. Granted, this time it was a group of 10 on EH, so not quite a stress test, but it went well and lag was not an issue at all. A big get for me a week or so ago was an item that was on sale, the Colossal Augment Bag, to alleviate my chronic filigree affliction. After the monthly stipend of DDO points with the VIB membership, the bag was, which holds a dreamy 300 stackable filigrees, was within reach. It was 350 TDO points away, in fact. With a pretty busy work schedule, I wasn't quite able to reach the mark, but by doing a 5-favor run on a new server, I got those initial 50 DDO points, which put me over the top right before the store sale ended. Thanks to Revy for the good idea there. That's about it for that. Let's move to the topic of the day, recruiting. Now, guilds and recruiting are regular topics on DDOcast, as they should be. Recruiting new members can be the lifeblood of guilds and the game, in fact, and we should be regularly revisiting the subject. Going through a couple of the podcasts where the topic was covered, in DDOcast 474, Patrick, Voodoo, and Even Notes talk about what makes a guild, being a member of a guild, and changes in guilds. In DDOcast 312, Patrick and Chris, or that is Even Note, I believe, discuss the social aspects of being in a guild, the various forms of guilds, and how smaller or larger they are built around common interests, and this can change over time. At the 52-minute mark, they do discuss recruiting for guilds, cover the techniques of getting the word out on the forums, in group recruiting, or random invites. I will be looking closer at another approach to recruiting, the use of messages in general chat. What I mean by this is a message that is put in chat to advertise that your guild is looking for new players. The most common place for messages to go out is in Stormreach Harbor, and to a lesser extent, Marketplace. One thing to remember is that these messages will reach all instances connected to Harbor or Marketplace. I believe this includes quests and taverns. Harbor is maybe the most common place for messages. It is perceived that a new player has figured out the game enough and succeeded in overcoming the Korthos questing area, effectively navigated the sunny, snowy Korthos parallel reality, and made it out relatively unscathed. For the recruiter, Harbor is an easy place to drop a message. You can teleport there from anywhere in the game, and you've got most everything you need there in a relatively compact space. Bank, auction, mail, and a guild ship portal. Marketplace is not as commonly used for recruiting, but this may change with the use of the D12, and I've seen an increase in the number of times that there have been multiple instances for Marketplace as a result. Korthos, however, is surprisingly rare to be accessed by recruiters, and when I was regularly scanning the chat, messages looking for new players were few and far between. It does take a little more effort to recruit in Korthos. You have to purposefully run out there. It is a surprisingly different space, too. I noticed that some new players spend a lot of time in Korthos. They'll level up to 7 or 8. I can't imagine it's only in Korthos that they're leveling, but they'll leave Korthos and come back and spend more time there at higher levels. I think I mentioned in previous editions, Korthos can be a pretty hopping place, particularly with the default server, but even without it. If you are there on peak times on weekends, you'll see plenty of characters running around. In the Korthos greeter thread, I did add spontaneous dance party photos in Korthos Village, and that happened in both sunny and snowy Korthos. Recruiting for your guild can in itself be very personal and at times touchy matter. This is only anecdotal observation on my part, but usually you don't go and start chatting up a recruiter asking how the recruiting's going. They are usually interacting with new players who are looking for a guild, and any communication beyond that is pretty abnormal, I guess. After a few attempts I made at seeing how things were going, I had a range of responses. Similarly, I did create a greeter character named Guilds Are Recruiting, and had her standing with Velcom for a while in sunny Korthos. The write-up in her bio was for all guilds, and I tried to make it as general as possible. They made for an imposing pair standing on the pedestal stones in the Korthos clearing, both wearing 11th anniversary cloaks of winter. I found, however, I would once in a while get mildly passive-aggressive comments as if I was recruiting for one specific guild, I guess. Or maybe I missed the person's guild. The intention was to let new players out there know that if they are looking for a guild is looking for them, and it's easy to get in contact with new guilds. In the end, that character opted for a change of occupation, devoting her life to the glory of backpack Tetris and the storage of semi-useful items. It was in this way, through trial and error, that I made adjustments to the greeter activities that was okay for all players on the server. What I will do now is recognize some guilds on Orion that have been getting out there, interacting with new players in Korthos, and getting new players interested in guilds. If I miss your guild or your recruiting activities, I should say that I'm not on all the time, and I'm not going to catch everything. But here we go. Some who I have noticed as being out there are Zerjeeves from Geezers Only, Aisha from Killers Inc. Sanitarium, Hinder from Arcane Alliance, Kick It Up from Hespeler, Galenark from Order of Justice, and Prekian from Legends of Orion. If I didn't butcher anybody's names, I probably did. Again, there are many more out there. Kudos to all for reaching out to new players. In previous DDOcasts, I believe it was Even Note who mentioned one point which I agree with. You're starting off on the wrong foot with unsolicited invites or mail. There are a lot of ways to get the word out. A periodic message in chat is one method. Having a character standing in harbor dressed to the nines is another technique. Perhaps the most organic way of recruiting is running in a group with new players and getting an idea of their playstyle, then sending an invite from there. Running groups together through Korthos or Harbor and advertising in the LFM as a starter group, instructional for new players, is another great way to let new people know about the game, and you can find new members for your guild in the process. I think the takeaway here is to be subtle about recruiting. Aim for a natural approach as opposed to a hard sell. By finessing it, you will have more time to vet a new player, and make sure to include Korthos in your recruiting activities. Lots of new players are trying to find their way in the game there. I'll leave things there for now. Until next time, take care.
All right, we are back. I'm your host, Patrick. We are talking about leveling 30 plus part 2 with, again, my guest, Asheras.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome back. We are continuing our discussion. This will kind of wrap up most of our leveling process. So this gets us through all of the quests that have currently been, as of update 38, all of the quests. We've hit them all after this episode. Woohoo. So hopefully it gives you a really good idea of what's available and what you can run, what maybe some ones that you can more optimize what you're getting in terms of XP and stuff like that. We're talking about level 30 plus, really 31 and 32. We talked about a few of the level 31 and 32 quests already. Just there's not a great break line because there's so many quests level 31 compared to level 30 and 32. Some things to remember if you missed us last week, just remember level 30 is where all of your Reaper XP gets doubled, which is why you like these quests. We talked about some not so great ones last time for 31 and 32. We'll talk about some of the better ones this time. That are really good, they're fast, pretty easy, really popular, that kind of thing. Where should we start, or continue? I should say.
Let's start with Gnomork, I guess.
Sure. I will say we'll finish with Ravenloft.
Yeah.
But so the Gnomorks set. So these are technically standalone, but they were kind of loosely tied together because the quest givers were gnomes. That's how they tied them together. Great job. So, Good Intentions, Memoirs of an Illusionary Larcener, and Search and Rescue.
Yep.
Good Intentions.
A good, appropriate name again.
I like the quest. The mob selection is challenging because it's all constructs, which limits your crowd control, which if you're trying to ratchet up your skulls is going to give you more problems. Web works.
Yeah.
The tentacles work. I think that's it.
Yeah, it's rough in that regard. Trip works. Anything that's, with some of them anyways, anything that's physical typically works pretty well. Yeah, I found this quest. No, you cannot stun them. Not at all. You can't greater command them. No. Comet Fall and Earthquake work. I think that it's a fun. I like the idea of the quest, and the idea that you're finding these 3 components. And Nibbles especially is variable in terms of where he's located. So there's some fun aspects to this quest, and there was, especially when it first came out, there's some good loot in this quest as well.
There's still good loot in this quest. That ring is still one of the best rings in the game. Yeah,
the legendary Ring of Prowess with the +8 melee power, range power. Yeah, deadly and accuracy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, so you'll still see people running it, to get the gear. And the heroic version is good too, by the way. So it's got some good stuff in it. But you're right, it's just nothing but constructs. And I personally don't enjoy quests where the mob variety is so low.
Sure.
No matter what it is, I'm just fighting the same thing over and over and over again. I like it when things are mixed up a little bit. I think that's a big part of why I enjoy some of the classic modules, because classic D&D modules tend to have a lot of different mobs in them, and that makes it fun. That kind of breaks things up a little bit. So.
I'm being told in the chat that Shield Bash Stun works on constructs and undead.
Oh, nice.
There's options. Just know that you're going to lose probably half of your crowd control options with this quest, which is probably going to be a limiting factor. Other than that, it's actually a pretty good quest in terms of getting Reaper XP, good loot.
It's non-linear. You can send people after the different pieces and kind of then regroup. You can do it in 5 minutes if you really are running fast. So
probably not on Reaper 10, but
no, not on Reaper 10. No, oh gosh, no. But if you want Reaper XP, Memoirs is the quest to go to for that.
Well, I would say Good Intentions is not bad. It's not the best, but it's really not bad. But let's transition to Memoirs, which is very popular for a couple of reasons. One is it's a pretty short quest. It's doable on really high skulls. The mob selection is much more favorable to crowd control. It's a weird quest and it has some funky mechanics which can cause some things to, like, it's not a great quest for hires. Things can brain out in that regards. Probably more than anything, though, the helm is very, very sought after.
Yes.
The one that they have gone on record of saying it was a bad idea to put it in the game in the first place. Oops.
Oh yeah. Well, and then if you get it with the Reaper +2 to all stats on it, which I know is a very, very low drop, but one that has been greatly sought after.
I actually got one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Nice.
I rub it into some people's faces every once in a while. But and I think we ran this on 8 skulls this weekend. I mean, there's a buddy bonus going on, but we got like 11,000 Reaper XP in one completion. So yeehaw! But yeah, that one's really popular. You're gonna find people to run this one even on high skulls because people want that helm more than anything.
Yeah.
And again, it's not too bad. There's a safe spot for one of the big bosses. And stuff like that. So.
Well, and there's just not a lot of mobs. It's not a high mob density quest, and there's phases where you have natural resting points in between. So it really flows. It's a good quest from that perspective.
I will give one quick word of warning. the aggro mechanics in here seem to be completely bonkers. Like, they don't...
I've noticed that, yeah.
For some reason, like, on all of my melee, and I can go in, and, like, there should be no reason why I'm pulling aggro, and all of a sudden I'll see an intimidate symbol pop up on top. Like, no, I did nothing. And then I'm dead, because, you know, I'm running on 8 or 10 skulls, and they turn around and one-shot me. So just you're going to be aware of that. I mean, melee is kind of a challenge on high schools anyways. But so search and rescue.
Yeah. Now talking about mob density, this one has a lot of. First off, I like this quest a lot. This is one of my favorite newer quests that they have. When it first came out, I really enjoyed it. It feels like it almost feels like a classic D&D module in a lot of ways, like just an old school dungeon crawl. You know, you start off and you're in this desert area. You go into what appears to be like this tomb, and you're facing some undead, and then that suddenly transitions into caverns, and you know you're facing some kobolds, and this is the first time we saw the Umbra Hulks, I think, maybe, or one of, and they're there, and
I think they added them back into it.
Yeah, well, it was
we
tough.
didn't see them until the Slave Lords, and they added them in. They retroactively added them to search and rescue, but.
Yeah, and then it has an entire side passage. It's completely optional side quest where you can face these drow, and it's almost like you're back in Shindelrin, and it's really I don't know. I really enjoy it, and some great named loot in here too.
My only real knock against it is the color temperature of everything is a little monotone.
Yeah,
other than that, at least I get the fire area. In terms of getting Reaper and XP and stuff. You do not need to do the drow optional, which is easily twice as long as the rest of the quest.
Mm-hmm.
No question. But otherwise, if you're not doing that, which is pretty probable if you don't have anyone that's not capped at level 30, and even then, there's plenty of XP here to be had, so it's not too big of a deal.
Well, and drow are one of those tough mobs too.
Yeah. High spell resistance.
Yeah, but that legendary Earthen Mantle. I mean, you basically do the optional A because you want the challenge or the fun, but mainly for the loot there, because that legendary Earthen Mantle comes out of there.
Is that still top tier? You think?
Well, I mean, evocation +7 is obviously it's been beaten now because you can get +8. Can you get +9? I don't think. I don't know. So. But quality wisdom +4 is still going to be the best you can get. The impulse 185 is solid. I mean, I think it puts those 3 effects all on one item, which is kind of nice. But I think if you're really an evocation focused build, you'll probably be using something out of Ravenloft. But
it's a really nice cloak.
It is.
I think it's probably like. I wouldn't call it second tier, but it's like tier 1B, kind of a thing. But yeah, if you're doing the optional and you get it, take it. I mean, don't toss it or anything like that. But but in terms of like maximizing your XP, particularly if you're Reaper XP, don't roll the optional. No. If you are running the optional, bring someone who can pick locks, because there's a way to shortcut a little bit of it.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very challenging optional too.
Yes. The end fight's not a pushover either, but it's not terrible.
Yeah.
But it is a fun one.
Yes, it is. But watch out. There's some kobold shamans that cast like a fireball effect that will wipe you out.
No, they do breath weapons. They have a breath weapon.
Yeah, it's a breath weapon. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, it wipes you out. It's massive.
I ran into a pack the first time I did it on my barbarian headlong, like, kobolds, fantastic. Go in, cleave, 3 breath attacks. I got a little scorched. Can I get a raise? Pretty fun.
What happened?
I got burned badly. Yep. But the loot at the end chest, there's a trinket in the end chest. It's really good. Really high fire resistance, like 61 false life and quality con 4. It's still really good.
Yeah.
There's some more choices at your trinket level because of Ravenloft now, but still a good one. All right, let's talk about Slave Lords, because we kind of touched on it.
Yeah, classic module, and a really good one too.
The third classic module, really good. They're longer, I wouldn't
Definitely.
I wouldn't recommend doing them on really high skulls because they're long.
Well, I think, outside of before Ravenloft, we had 3 classic modules, and all of them are long. None of them are particularly short, and that was kind of just a way when they were interpreting a PnP module, it ended up being that way because there's just so much in there.
I mean,
But
it makes
I
sense if
really
you look at the module.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I really like these. I thought they did a good job of converting them. And obviously there is a 4th module that they didn't convert because it had a problematic thing where you end up trapped and lose all your gear.
What,
But
players wouldn't like losing all their gear?
no, I think that's a negative. That's a hard pass.
We've explored that that option live, and it didn't go over very well for a few people.
Yeah.
My condolences.
Mhm. Well, I mean, I think these still play well. The gear in them still plays well. I think that the gear has been a little bit superseded by Ravenloft, but because of the flexibility of the crafting system, you can still find uses for Slave Lord's gear. And the sorcery set bonus is still a very strong set bonus.
I think if you're going to be DC caster, it's still must have. I don't think Ravenloft has some great gear, but if you're going to be a DC caster, I think Slave Lords is where you need to be more than Ravenloft.
Yeah, because Slave Lords has the Beacon of Magic set, or that gives you the +2 artifact bonus to DCs. But
that's in Ravenloft, yeah.
Yeah, but this one still has the +4 with the +2 to stat in its set bonus. So this is still the better set bonus, and
it's
the
a
gear
little
is
grindy in terms of the getting the mats. But these days too, you could probably find people that don't necessarily need mats, just want to run it for XP that might give you the mats too. So you make it a little less problematic. And they did up the drop rate a little bit as well.
They did. And the XP per minute's not great, but it's not terrible. I mean, they're giving out good XP. It's just long runs is all, and it's not easy. I mean, I can't recall. I don't think I've run this on anything higher than about R3 or so, but I haven't run it in a while either. I mean, so I'm sure we could do higher, but it's I'm mainly running it for mats, so I'm not sure that really helps.
I'm getting called out by calling it, quote, a little grindy. Exhibit A, it's not as bad as as Thunderhome or Temple of Elemental Evil. So
especially now with the new drop rates. With the new drop rates, I mean the heroic gear, which is also very strong for your heroic characters, is very easy now with the new drop rates because they have lower costs. The epic gear is definitely higher, more challenging, but with the new drop rates, you can generally get there pretty quickly.
One quick word of warning before we move on to other quests with Slave Lords. The final fight is a bit of a bump in difficulty, so be ready for that. The third one, so be aware of that. Yeah, really fun quests. They're worth running. Highly recommend them. They have good replay value. Just don't go too crazy with the skull level. If you can complete this on R10, please send me a picture. I would love to see this. That is achievement form worthy, hands down. No GZ tactics. But there you go.
Yeah, I think the only issue I had with Slave Lords is just that it was the only thing to do for 6-9 months. So
before
it got
Ravenloft.
a little before Ravenloft. So it got a little bit tired.
Yeah.
But like I said, I haven't run it in a while, and I ran it and because I wanted some mats and. It was fun.
It's still fun. Yeah.
Definitely still worth it. I've got 2 characters that are in the level 27 to 28 range, so everything we're talking about today is stuff I'm going to be doing over the next week or so.
Yeah, and those are good ones to run. Just the generic XP is good. You're getting that extra bump in Reaper XP. So again, this is why when we're talking about level 27 to 29, you're probably not going to run a lot of those quests because you're going to jump into these quests, which you can run. You'll find people to run Slave Lords. People will come and run it with you. It's an easy pug one to do.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about how about the Mines of Tethymar?
Okay, sure.
Shorter grouping of quests. I think the mob selection is pretty solid and different. Kind of a good variety of there. There are a fair number of drow, which again a little bit more challenging with the spell resistance for crowd control, but doable. There's some undead, which in Graveyard Shift in particular, which can be a little more challenging. But having said all that, these quests are not terribly difficult. They're all pretty decently short. You can, I think on a couple times I've run them on R3 or 4, 5, run the whole series in just over an hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
So really great in that sense. This is Mines of Tethymar and Age of Rage we haven't talked about. Ravenloft and Multitude of Menace are like there are 4 chains that I really try to do every life, at least on Reaper, just for the first time Reaper XP bonus, because you can kind of cruise through them all. And there's still a couple of items in here that I think are pretty desirable. Again, it's pre-Ravenloft, so I mean, Ravenloft colors everything, even Age of Rage, which came on after it, in terms of loot. Yeah. But there's still some stuff in here. If nothing else, sentient weapon food is plentiful in these packs. So.
Yeah, well, they have they have a ring that's plus 18 wisdom, plus 4 quality wisdom. That's just a nice combination. I mean, yeah, you can get a plus 19 pretty easily in Ravenloft, but from a stats on an item, from a density standpoint, they have some good items in here still. And
well, I have noticed. We've talked about this in my items, but like the one thing that seems to be lacking everywhere right now is insightful stats.
I'd agree with that. Yes. Mm-hmm. Although there's that new armor though that comes out of.
You named the one.
Yes.
Name another. I challenge you. Go ahead.
I can't.
Yeah. Right.
It's tough.
So this is one thing that's missing from. We need more than insightful plus 2 diamonds.
Yes. That would revitalize the whole augment slot thing.
Yes.
Everything's coming with augment slots now, but I very rarely slot things in my augment slots at this point.
I got a couple things that I keep moving around, but anyways, but yeah, Mines of Tethymar, I think the storyline is kind of fun. The quests have some fun mechanics to them.
They do.
But at the same time, there's nothing that really stands out either.
No, not really. I think this is a pack that was building a story that I hope we get back to. And with the end boss being one that kind of escapes us, and I really like to see where they go with this, because this is, like you said, it's fun, but it doesn't necessarily stand out. But depending on where they take the story, it could end up being a really fun multi-pack arc to go on.
Yeah, and saying it doesn't stand out is not to say that that they're bad or anything like that. It's just there's nothing that really stands out. They're pretty basic. They're short, easy to run through. You can cruise through it. Like I said, great spot to come for Reaper XP, I think.
I think from a story standpoint, I felt like with Mines of Tethymar and with Ravenloft especially, and then with Disciples of Rage, I felt like there's a better story going on in each of them, and they've gotten away from a tactic that I think really hit a breaking point with Black and Blue and Newcomers, where with the go 10 feet, pack of mobs, go 10 feet, pack of mobs, quest layout strategy.
I agree.
And Mines doesn't have that. Mines is much more interesting. Mob placement's more interesting in a lot of the quests and things like that. So I enjoy these. It's definitely a good pack to explore if you haven't had a chance to do it. And like you said, the XP is worth it for the first time bonuses, especially.
Yeah. And the story, like you said, I think the storytelling, they're in a really good storytelling sequence now. Let's talk about the Age of Rage. And then we've got Age of Rage, the legendary, couple legendary raids, and then we can talk about Ravenloft in there.
Okay.
Age of Rage, I really enjoy. There's some good mechanics going on. Madness of Crowds is non-linear, but other than that, we get Toxic Treatment. I guess kind of has some non-linearness to it, and it's kind of mazy. But even then, I mean, it's non-linear in the sense that you go to a center area, and then they send you to a couple different directions. It's not. Yeah. It's not terrible. It's not really non-linear either. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Toxic Treatment, I felt like the forest maze area is a little confusing. There's some things I thought that could have been done a little bit better, but all by and large, I like all these quests. Again, I don't feel like I'm doing the walk down the hall and fight mobs thing with a lot, in front of a locked door. There's some unique mechanics going on. There's a unique story going on. I really like too the fact that we're, exploring a part of Stormreach that's been around the entire time, but we just haven't, gone there yet. So I like that. So.
And like I mentioned, you look at the Multitude of Menace, Minus Death Mirror, and Age of Rage, and you can run each of these chains in an hour. Even if you've got the right grouping, even at mid Reaper Skulls, they're not overly challenging. I mean, there's some things about them that can be challenging, but they're shorter. They're not overly taxing. Great places to go to maximize that Reaper XP, particularly in the legendary levels.
Yeah, well, and there's some good items here too.
Yeah.
Like you said, there was no helms at all in Ravenloft. This has a bunch of helms.
One for each
lot
stat.
Of really, one for each stat. A lot, getting plus 19 stats, really good stuff with a lot of effects as well that tend to play well in with them. Like the strength helm has deadly, stunning, and seeker on it. Which is great. And there's 2 maces in here too. So if you're interested in trying out the Scourge Iconic, which obviously relies very heavily on the maces, you've got some nice options here because they really didn't give you a good raid named mace in Ravenloft. So
they covered a lot of the not raid weapon bases in here.
Yeah, there's some nice set bonuses too, and just smaller set bonuses, only requiring 2 pieces or so to get some nice stuff out of them. There's some decent loot, like you said. Ravenloft with its set bonuses and with its particular just power level, kind of still overshadows this, even though this pack came out afterwards. But in specific areas, there's some good stuff.
It's a horizontal move for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's
filling in gaps.
Age of Rage is the one with the beholder at the end, or all the eyeballs everywhere, right?
I think that's Toxic Treatment, isn't it? That's the end quest. That's the one where you go into the temple.
No, I'm talking about the really short one with the before that.
You're right. Yes,
the one thing about this chain is to watch out for the eyeballs. Those guys hurt, especially when you turn up the Reaper Skulls, because their attack is not mitigated by MRR or PRR or anything.
They were rough the first time we went through this.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yeah, I think once you figure out your strategies and everything,
kill them first.
Yeah,
that's the strategy.
Yep. But I like that they're using mobs that require different spells. Like for example, with these guys, Glitter Dust, which is a spell that I think is generally overlooked, is very very useful here.
Anything that blinds will kill those eyeballs outright. So.
Yeah.
All right, so Legendary Hound of Zoriat, Legendary Tempest Spine, and then Ravenloft.
Okay.
Tempest Spine is popular for high skulls.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was probably the first thing that got completed on 10 skulls.
Yeah, it might be. There's a little bit of cheesiness with the tactics in the end fight.
Yes.
And, well, a lot of the fights, there's some cheesiness going on. But it's, you get 12 people, so you can kind of, that helps a lot in terms of that. There's some sticky points, and there's still a lot of one-shotting, but yeah, it's doable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those up to three red named drow, or is it 4 in that one room, can get kind of hairy. And then, of course, Sorjek at the end, he hits like a tank. But like you said, there's some options you have there with pillars and such where you can manage that. But
I have successfully survived 3 successive hits from Sorjek without heals.
Nice.
On R10. There was a miss, a dodge, and an incorporeal. And the 4th one connected, and I was dead.
There you go. Yeah, he's rough.
Yeah.
It's always been one of my favorite quests, and the legendary version is likewise. It's just fun.
And if you don't have to do this on 10 skulls. Mid skulls is totally doable with a solid party and everything like that. So another good go-to place.
Yeah.
Hound of Zoriat is a little more challenging. Although it's one of those weird things that if you can control all the other stuff happening, it actually goes a little bit faster the more skulls you get because the dogs are doing more damage. But it's in terms of raids, we should mention that neither one of these has any flagging.
No, they do not. Yes.
In terms of raid, this is a much different raid because it's much more about the charming and stuff like that. So there's a lot. It's really about buffing the dogs and debuffing the mom, and then keeping everything else away from them. So it's there's a lot more strategy going on. Don't see this one being run on high skulls at all. So
no, I don't. It's a tough one because the unique nature of the mechanics, where you have to let the hounds damage the mother dog while you're basically just kind of playing crowd control nonstop. It doesn't play well with higher skulls. It's just a tough one from that perspective, and the XP is not great.
Nope.
The loot is definitely not great. So there's just not a lot of reasons.
I mean, the armors are still really good.
Yeah, I guess.
The only way that the Ravenloft armors are better is they have higher PRR and MRR, but they only have one, so you have to find something. They only have PRR on the armor. You have to find an MRR item somewhere else. So.
That's true. Yeah, they're not bad armors, I guess, but I have them, and I keep thinking I'm going to slot this. I'm like, I end up not doing it. So I find that I just have them sitting around right now.
Yeah. All right, I think what we're actually going to do, I said we were going to finish, but I'm going to break this one more time. And next time, we're going to talk about Ravenloft and talk about the quest for Ravenloft, because I want to give it more justice, and there's a lot of things to talk about in Ravenloft in terms of leveling. So we're going to wrap this up. We'll have part 4, part 3, Ravenloft, next week. So thanks for listening. Join us next time. Want to thank my guest Asheras for hanging out today and recording all these segments together. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit our website, DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. You can also find show notes, past shows, and more on our website. You can also find us on social media for the latest cast updates. I am at DDOCast on Twitter. If you'd like to join the discussion, you can leave a comment or email us at ddocast@gmail.com. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.